Hello and welcome to the Astro Energy Update for March 2020, and I have a new camera. Well, technically it's not new, it is my partner's camera, but he got it all set up for me, and now my face is nice and crystal clear, and my background, apart from the closet door, is like this dark, mysterious vibes, and I'm so here for it. Don't worry, I've got my candle, Abraham Lincoln, ooh, ooh. May your wise words help my wise words in this video, where I have so much exciting stuff to share with you. This video might be a little bit longer, but there is so much going on, and since my last video I have been just enthralled in the world of astrology, and so I feel like I know a lot more, and that might mean I get a little tangenty. I will try to stay focused. With these videos, my intention is to bring the astrological knowledge that I have been gaining and present it in a way that is tangible, because I have been listening to astrologers talk to each other, and it's like a whole different language when they really get into these different things. And so my intention is to explain what's going on in a way that's relatable, offer some advice, offer some funny stories, and just inspire us to get through the cosmos and our times in life. So, what has been going on and what are we going through? That's what this video is about. So we'll be talking about Mercury Retrograde and its conclusion. It is coming to an end. Mercury Retrograde. Finally, we've been 3 weeks and it has been a doozy. So I talk a little bit about what has been going on with that energy, and a little bit of what it's going to look like as it comes to an end on March 10th. It is March 8th right now, so we are this close, but I found some pretty interesting things along the way about what this Mercury retrograde has meant. And I will also talk about Venus in Aries, which I'm pretty sure I used as an example in one of my other videos, where I was like, I don't know what the Venus in Aries means, but I do know what it means now. And it was a very interesting interaction with another planet, which is Saturn in Capricorn. And what does that mean? Okay, so I didn't know. I didn't quite understand what it meant, and I had it presented so beautifully by Colin Bedell, and he is the author of Queer Cosmos, a book I will be getting, and he just explains the cosmos in a beautiful gender diverse way, because the cosmos can be very masculine and feminine, and that's not all that there is to gender. And the way that Colin describes just overall astrology is really awesome. I've got a little bit of a sore throat still, so I'm drinking plenty of water. So thank you for your patience. So the way that he described what it means, what the cosmos is doing, and the beautiful dance that they create. So we can think of all the planets, including the sun and the moon. In astrology, they just call them planets. I like to call them celestial bodies. So the celestial bodies are like performers, or like storytellers. They have a story to tell. They have something to show, essentially, all these different celestial bodies. And then the zodiac signs are each like a different theme that those stories play out in. So as the celestial bodies dance around in the cosmos, they're moving through the different zodiac signs. They're moving through the constellations that astrologers way back in the day assigned the different constellations to the different zodiac signs. And so that is why we get such a dynamic energy happening in the cosmos, and why I believe it's so valuable to know what's going on. Because whether or not you're knowing it's happening, I believe that it is happening. And it's okay that not everyone believes in astrology, and that's not what I'm here for. What I'm here for is to present information that I believe is true and show how we can use that amazing energetic energy. We can use energetic energy to help. And that's what I'm here for, is to explain how we can do that. So I'll explain a little bit of what those energies mean, because sometimes the planets are like this and everything kind of comes together and helps each other. Like the full moon in Virgo is going to be really helpful to helping us get through Mercury retrograde. I'm going to talk about that. Yes, the full moon is going to be helpful. It's kind of amazing because full moons can be kind of crazy. And I talk about that in one of my other videos. But they can be really helpful, or they can be very combative. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about Venus and Saturn's and what that means for relationships and kind of how that played out. And then I'm going to end with a spring analogy. I'm going to bring back like from video 1, my February video, I talk about how life is like a garden. And I'm going to kind of bring that in as we enter spring. Spring is my favorite season. Well, no, fall is my favorite season. Forever fall. Spring is my favorite season because it has so many lessons to teach us. So I'm going to talk about those lessons, just a little bit of things that have been coming up since spring is like started to kind of like tip its toe, like, hey, I'm here. So we'll get in right away now that we've got a 6-minute intro. Nailed it. So Mercury retrograde. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we've been here for 3 weeks, and what I found out was that the Mercury retrograde was in Pisces for most of the time. And what that means, so Mercury is all about communication, all about logic, all about thinking. And Pisces energy, being a water sign, is all about feeling and not necessarily communicating through words and not necessarily logical. So we've got Mercury, which is all about logic and thinking, and Pisces energy, which is all about not communicating and feeling and not logic. And that creates very rigidness, very much restlessness. It was a very restless kind of Mercury retrograde. You can kind of visualize it maybe as like getting lost in a oceanic storm or like a rapping river and feeling like we need to struggle against it. And I definitely felt that like needing to stay afloat energy. And as I was tuning in to like, okay, how can we get through it? When things like this happen, when this big kind of overwhelming pull comes in and we feel like we need to struggle against it. This is overall just life. This isn't just like through the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. It's overall in life. It can feel like we're drowning and we want to swim harder. But something that is a lot easier said than done is the concept of releasing control, of like the surrendering to it, because the more that you fight it, the more tired you get. And I'm pretty sure they even suggest this like when you get caught in a river and the tide is, pulling you down, the stream is pulling you down, to not fight against it, to just go with it, right? To just kind of surrender. And trust me, this is really, I don't like this kind of stuff either. Like, I'm sure a lot of you are like, release control, surrender. Like, I'm the same way. I am a Leo. I don't like to release control. But that was something that has been so big, this Mercury retrograde, is this energy that it's going to storm. And we can ask the universe for help, and then it brings us a storm. I was watching Moana, and she asks the ocean for help, and it brings her a freaking giant storm. And it's like, thanks, universe, but it brings her exactly where she wants to the island where Maui is. And that was just like, oh, that is exactly what we're going through. And Mercury retrograde in Pisces is like, we just gotta trust the storm and ride it out. And like I said, it's not always easy, but neither is life. So thankfully, though, Mercury has left the zodiac sign of Pisces and it entered Aquarius on March 4th. So like I said, it's March 8th. So we've had a couple days in Aquarius energy, and I absolutely love Aquarius energy. I'm an Aquarius rising. There are multiple signs. So we have our sun sign, which I'm a sun Leo, and that's, most of us know our sun signs, but there's also 2 other signs, and one of them is the rising sign. And that is like how your energy is projected out, kind of like your personality, how you project on your appearance and interact with people. And I'm Aquarius rising, and Aquarius is weird. And so there's this like weirdness and this curious energy that is coming in, and the cosmos is all kind of lining up to support being moving forward in the curiousness. Things that once seemed a little bit weird or like we were uncertain, we're a little bit more willing to explore. So, and that might have led you to watch this video. So thank you, and thanks Cosmos. So that energy is a little bit easier, at least for me as an Aquarius rising, to get through. And as I was tuning into how this can kind of help us, it made me think of, so Aquarius, they love, the energy is all about community and humanity and coming together and celebrating our uniqueness. So if you've got a tribe, if you've got people that just light you up, that you love being around, that see your uniqueness and you see theirs, be around those people. As we leave Mercury retrograde, as it turns direct, I'm trying to use the right wording here. As Mercury turns direct, we can be around those people because that'll be really supportive. You know, the ones that you don't have to worry about if you're stumbling your words, or like you guys don't even have to talk at all. No, don't worry. Like if you don't know who those people are for you yet, what your tribe is, you know, those group of people, if you don't have that yet, or like say like, all my people are really far away. Hi, Bozeman. Hi, I mean, I've got people everywhere. On my tribe, I got a sister in North Dakota, family in Wyoming, family in Arizona. Like, we've got people everywhere. But don't worry, because Aquarius is also a very individualistic time as well. So we can celebrate our own uniqueness. So think about Mercury in retrograde. It's kind of hard to communicate. So what my question for you might be is like, what about your uniqueness are you not comfortable communicating? Is there something like super creative about you that you want to share with the world that maybe you've been a little scared to? It's the time to do that now. Mercury is going direct in Aquarius. It is the time to communicate our weirdness, communicate what makes us unique. You know, you need New York. I said that right in one of my drafts, but I didn't say it right this time, so you're welcome. So that's a little bit about Mercury retrograde. And then also, so something that I noticed in this, especially in this Mercury retrograde, apparently it's a really big theme, but I noticed it a lot this one. And it is the idea of the past coming up. Because when we think about it, Mercury going retrograde, it looks like it's moving backwards in the sky. And I talk about that in my first Surviving Mercury retrograde video of why that is. It looks like it's going backwards in the sky. And that essentially symbolizes the concept of looking backwards, of being able to look at where we've gone, like where we've come from. And it can be really easy to feel like everything's hard. Because it is. It kind of feels like an uphill battle. A lot of the time, it's like, are we ever going to get there? And Mercury retrograde kind of forces us to look back. So like, I know a lot of other people had a lot of experiences where especially very important past relationships, whether they were romantic, friendship, familiar, whatever, and those relationships kind of coming back in an unexpected way. And the reminder of the loss. There was a lot of loss. Reminding of that loss and just the awareness of it in this Mercury retrograde. So if you or someone you know are experiencing that, know that you're not alone, and that loss doesn't feel good. And even if it wasn't necessarily you had a lot of loss, because this wasn't just everybody experienced the loss side of it. There were other, like for me personally, it was more of just the reminder of this relationship. So like I saw my ex at an event I didn't expect to see him at, and I had moved on mentally. I was like, it's been a couple of years. I'm good. Like we're good. We're, there's no bad animosity there necessarily. And so I have moved on mentally. But what seeing him helped me realize was that there was still a part of my emotional, energetic body that was still tied up in that, because that's something that Mercury retrograde loves to show us is, hey, you say you've moved on. You say your mental mind says you moved on. Well, let's see. I'm going to remind you about the past, and let's see where you're at with it, because the cosmos is here to help us heal. It's here to help guide us and tell its stories and all of its different themes, so that way we can use that energy. And it doesn't always feel good, especially because we usually don't plan it, but that's a cosmos for you. You can never plan anything, because things are just going to happen. And so when these reminders of the past are presented with you or to you, and if that did happen to you in Mercury retrograde, You are not alone, and it was not easy to be reminded of the past. And hopefully you got through it okay, and did a little bit of healing, maybe a lot of bit of healing, and that can help us move forward. That's all we can do is keep moving forward, keep healing, and moving forward. And so the full moon in Virgo, which that happens on Monday, tomorrow, the full moon. Oh, it was so close to a full moon Leo, you guys. I was watching it on my little app that tells me, where the different planets are in the different zodiac signs, and it was so close to being a full moon in Leo. But the moon has been in Leo for a while, which I've been totally feeling like I have been doing stuff. Me and my partner are getting ready for a trip to go to Mexico, which is so exciting. Who knows, I might do an energy update there or a video. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be great. And I've been feeling all of that Leo powerful energy. But it goes full into its fullness. This is a full moon in Virgo. And what Virgo is all about, like the discerning of what is an earth sign. And so they're very practical. And they love to think about what works and what doesn't work. And just getting rid of what doesn't work. It's a lot of Virgo energy. And so the full moon in Virgo can help us as we turn direct in the Mercury Retrograde by ending it with looking at the past. What worked? What didn't work? And what lessons do we want to take from it as we move forward? And I'm not saying you need to, write this down and go journal for 3 hours. I mean, if you do, that would be very healing. But I know that we all have very busy lives. And so I'm presenting this information for you to just think about, like, in those middle times. When, like, you're doing the dishes or going on a walk, walking your dog, getting the mail, these other tasks that we do, we have this time. I mean, you can be sitting on the porcelain throne. Excuse me. You're right. I said excuse me. That doesn't always happen, so you're welcome. It was even like a preliminary excuse me, like, watch me burp. So, we can just think about these things in our middle moments. And I find even just those times of reflection can help us as we progress on our journeys. So that is a little bit about Mercury retrograde, the full moon in Virgo. How about that? So moving on, Venus in Aries. What does that mean? Well, I'll tell you, because I found out, and it actually is really interesting. And so Venus is all about the planet of love and relationships, and it being in Aries. Aries is very passionate, very, think about it kind of like a quick flame, like a sparkle or a firework, quick to ignite, very powerful and bright, and then it can kind of fizzle out. So that might have been some energies and relationships where you saw a lot of passion, a lot of fire, and maybe new relationships popping up that had that feeling, and then they're kind of like starting to fizzle out. So there's a little bit about that has been happening in Venus with that Aries energy for a while. And as it was moving into Taurus, which we'll talk about in a hot sec, as it's moving into Taurus recently, this was like March 4th, it squared up against Saturn in Capricorn. And Saturn has been in Capricorn for a while. And Capricorn is another earth energy. Think about Virgo, like Virgo is like very discerning. Capricorn is like, it can be even like, it's a ram sign, so it's very stubborn, about just wanting to keep ascending and keep going upwards and keep improving. Kind of like without regard to, you just keep going up, what's working, what's not working. And Saturn is about that as well. Saturn is a lot of what is effective kind of energy. And so when those two energies squared, what that means is when they get squared, they're 90 degrees from each other in space. This is Venus and this is Saturn. This is not to scale, if you can't tell. When they square up, it means they're 90 degrees from each other in space. And when that happens, it can create a lot like a tug of war energy. And so how we might have seen that play out is with these passionate, fiery energies in our relationships, we are also communicating about what is working and what is not working, and being kind of almost a little confrontational. If I can use that word, I have had multiple experiences and not necessarily me specifically, but the people in my life, and relationships, from romantic relationships, friendships, and even, like I said, familial relationships. There's been a lot of confrontation of people coming to the table and saying, this is not working for me. And it doesn't necessarily always feel good to have that conversation as the one that's instigating it, as well as the one that's on the receiving end. Hearing that you're not meeting someone's expectations, hearing that you're not good enough for someone is never easy. And showing up to a relationship saying, hey, this isn't working out for me, I need to move on, is not easy as well. But it's what we're doing right now. There's a lot of Capricorn energy. I've been talking a lot about, discerning what is working and what is not as working. And I think this is like a whole global kind of situation. Saturn has been in Capricorn for a while. I'm pretty sure Pluto was also in Capricorn, and Jupiter is going to join it as well. I think I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure pretty certain that's right, because Jupiter is going to come in and it's going to get even more intense of this energy of like saying what it is that we don't want. We're no longer turning a blind eye and being like, oh, this is okay, I don't have to worry, like this, it's not necessarily affecting me and my family, so like I don't need to talk. That's not happening. People are like, even if it's not necessarily directly affecting us, people all over the internet are being like, this is not right, we cannot keep doing this. And that's why we're seeing a lot of that energy, is this huge convergence in Capricorn, and everything's kind of playing out. And so when Venus and Aries square that up, that's why we're talking about our relationships, and some of them are ending. And like I said, it doesn't always feel good on either side, but we have to get rid of the old to make room for the new. We have to cleanse out what doesn't work, or else we're just going to stay stagnant. And the cosmos does not like stagnation. So if you're staying stagnant, you're probably running into a lot of roadblocks. And if you're running into roadblocks, that doesn't mean that you're staying stagnant. The cosmos loves to throw in loops. So, but just keep in mind that if you're wanting to bring in more, if you're wanting to manifest more in your life, you gotta also get rid of the stuff that's not working. So that's kind of like the overall cosmic update. And as I close out, I wanted to share with you a little bit about the energy that is coming in, and the energy that we are beginning to feel, that is the early springtime. And kind of bringing back the garden analogy that I started in my February video. I talked about how in February is the time for us to start thinking about what seeds we want to plant, what ideas we want to manifest. Our visions, our goals are starting to become a lot more clear. And as we are clearing out the old, getting rid of the old stuff. Oh, thank you. Water, man. Drink water. As we are clearing out the old, getting ready for the new, preparing the beds. The ground is really like warming up now. And for me, I'm getting a little like stir crazy, some cabin fever for real, because up here in Canada and in Montana, it's cold. I mean, I've been through a lot worse. It's been a lot harsher winters for real. This has been a very mild one. But it's still like I've got a lot of cabin fever as a Leo. I love the sun. And so I'm just like ready. And Lee Harris talked a lot in his energy update. I'll put the resource in the link. That there is this energy to get stuff done. And I think that's a very powerful spring energy, to get stuff done. But as we're working through that kind of like ready to go energy, I've been reminded of an analogy that I'm pretty sure my great friend Soul gave me this analogy, but it might not have been them, but I think it was. And it's the idea that when we plant our seeds, when you go to plant a brand new seed in a pot or a garden, the next day you don't go look it up and see if it started to grow little sprouts, right? And you just leave it there. You plant it and then you trust it. And that is so powerful for me because, like, I've been planting my seeds, right? I have unleashed my website, which is Unleashing the Magic Within. That is something I've been working on since 2018, for like a hot second 2018. And then really in 2020, I've been like, well, all throughout, I've been working on this. And now that it's out there, like, I've planted that seed and I've got amazing ideas that will be coming to this site. I've applied to a gazillion jobs. The surviving Mercury Retrograde, I talked about one that I thought was a scam. It was a scam. They tried to scam me, but I was ready for it. And so that was kind of disappointing. And then there was another job about podcasting that I had to wait a week and a half to hear back from. And during Mercury Retrograde, like, I'm feeling really restless. I'm planting all these seeds, right? And I go through this long interview process with this job, and it's really amazing. It's really exciting. And then I do the interview, like the actual interview, because there was lots of steps to get there, right? To the actual interview where I talk to, like, the owner of this organization. Super cool, awesome interview. I had to wait a week and a half to hear that I didn't get the job. And at that point, I could kind of feel it that I didn't get the job, but I trust that I planted that seed with that organization, even if I had to, practice patience as a very not patient person. I know that I still planted a seed with that organization, and I'm not going to go and try and, like, make the seed grow faster or dig it up to see if it's ready. And so that was an analogy that came to me that I feel like I wanted to share with you. We're beginning to start planting our seeds. Like, we're starting to really do the process in terms of making shit happen here in springtime. But one of the biggest lessons that I always get every springtime when I tune into watching the little buds on the trees begin to bloom and seeing all the little creatures slowly but surely returning from their surfacey deaths or migrating back. And spring is all about patience. And knowing that what it is we want to grow is going to grow. We got to just plant our seeds and trust that the work we've done to get there is solid. And then we continue to water our seeds, water our garden, give it the nutrients, give it the love, bring with it an energy of curiosity rather than, like, I've seen this in my plants before where I kind of I'm like a brown thumb turning green, and I'm like a green witch, not very good at keeping houseplants. I'm doing better, and something I've learned in helping my houseplants grow, as I used to bring with me an energy of, like, every time I was going to go check on the plants, like water them, kind of like, oh my God, did I kill it? How is it doing? And feeling like I had already failed, or like kind of expecting the worst. And my plants didn't grow very well. And it's when I shifted my mindset to, rather than being like, oh, I hope I'm not killing the plant, to, I trust that the plant is doing what it's doing, and I'm curious and see how it's doing and seeing if I see any new buds. And it's kind of that curiosity and exciting energy that we can bring to planting our figurative gardens that help nourish these ideas, rather than digging it up and trying to see, is it ready? Is it ready? What is it going to grow? Being like, okay, I planted that and I trust that it will come and bloom up, even if it's going to take a couple months. Gardens are weird, and they kind of just do what they want to do. So we got to trust. Like, I know I don't actually have a garden yet, but I have plants. And so we got to just trust that the work that we're doing, the seeds that we're planting, now it's time to nourish. Well, we haven't really planted seeds yet. I know you're like, Lux, it's not even spring yet, but that is me ready to, like, put things in fast forward. But plant your seeds. Let them grow. And those are my thoughts. Thank you so much for listening to this half an hour video. And please let me know your thoughts. Let me know things that you like, you didn't like, any specific questions as I continue to explore astrology. I would love any sort of thoughts you all have about what different aspects to bring in. And stories, please tell me your stories. I absolutely love hearing about how we're getting through these crazy cosmic times. So, with all my love, may you traverse the end of our Mercury retrograde with as much patience as you can and move forward into springtime excited and energized and trusting that what it is you're planting is going to grow into some magnificent, beautiful gorgeousness. So, blessed be. Mwah!